Okay, so what you did so far was change vertex form to general form. That's a vertex form. Does a vertex jump out at you? It does to me. I see -2 comma 3 everywhere. Anyway, if you multiply that all out, see how this got expanded out to be squared? And then you multiply it all out like this, and then you eventually add the 4 and the 3, and you get the 7. You get this form, and that's not vertex form. That's what? General form. Generally, you just multiply things out to get general form. And then you could write them like this form. That's called factored form because it's been factored. All right, this times this will multiply out to make general form. All right, now why is this factored form any good? Because you could see the answers a lot of times just right there. There's the answer, -3. Because if you could make this part 0, you got one of your answers. If you can make this part 0, you got your other. 3x minus 2 has to equal 0. 3x equals 2. X equals 2/3. So 2/3 is one of the answers. And if you look at this, you can see you can get the answers by just graphing it too and seeing what the x-intercepts are. So these are the roots, the zeros, the solutions, and the x-intercepts. They're 4 things all in one. So don't get confused if the ACT test asks you to find the roots. They're just asking you for the same thing as if they asked for the solution, which is the same thing as if they asked for the zeros, which is the same thing as if they asked for the x-intercepts. Okay, so you could ask any of those questions and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to find the thing that makes the equation equal 0. How come this one doesn't have any 0? Well, we could set it equal to 0 if we wanted to. Okay, so I could set this equals 0. I could graph it. And then when I graphed it, it would be a parabola. And then this would be this line, and they don't touch. What happens if the lines don't touch? It doesn't have any x-intercepts. Then it doesn't have any real solutions. All right, so if it touches, it can touch like this, and you get 2 answers. It could touch like that, and you get 2 answers. It could even touch like this, and you can only get 1 answer. It just touches once. But it could even never touch like this. That parabola doesn't touch and doesn't have any x-intercepts. And then it doesn't have any real solutions. All right, so that's a big overview of kind of what we've been doing lately. From your homework from yesterday, is it possible to have a quadratic with only 1 root? Yep. This one has 2, but this one has only 1 root. And if you were really smart, you could write me the equation for it. Yes. Write me the equation for this. I'd accept either way. There's 3 different ways you could write that equation. Okay, here's one way you could have done it. Now, first of all, who thinks they have it? All right, there's like 8 kids that think they have. Okay. For those of you that haven't got it yet, I just want to give you a hint. It's just a parabola that's been shifted where? So now can you write it? It's just a parabola that's been shifted left 4. So if it's been shifted left 4, then what do? I go in here and I say -4. See? How many of you followed that? Raise your hand if you get what I'm talking about. Okay, good. Oh, that was, yep, thank you. It's +4. Sorry. Okay. All right, so now, could I write that in factored form? Yes, because all I'd have to do is split it up into 2 parts. X plus 4, X plus 4. Could I write it in general form? Yeah. All I have to do is generally multiply it out. And I'd have y equals x squared plus 8x plus 16. Now that one just doesn't jump out at me. I mean, I don't look at this graph and say, oh, of course, it's x squared plus 8x plus 16. But I can see that it touches at -4 there, so I know the answer has to be -4. And so I could write probably that equation pretty easy too. All right, so I want you to get good at going back and forth between these different forms. General form, vertex form, and the vertex will be here and here. And by the way, what's that thing again? The stretch factor, good. Okay, and this is A, B, and C, what are they good for? I just sang it yesterday, for Pete's sakes. Quadratic formula, okay. And then how about this form? What's that good for? It tells me the R's. What do you think R stands for? Roots. Okay. If this was a circle, I would believe radius, but otherwise, we're talking roots. Okay. Unless you say roots. Who would say that I'm going to go out and dig up a cattail and eat its roots, or would you say roots? So how many of you are root people? And how many are root people? All right. How about this? I'm gonna say something, and then you say what comes to mind first in your head, but don't say it out loud because I want you to not spoil the person next to you. If you're gonna go up on top of your house and you would be walking around on the okay, but see, we can do responses, but I can't tell how you pronounce it. Do you say roof? Do you say roof? Who are the roof people? I'm a roof person. How about the roof people? All right. Like, roof, roof. Yeah. How about, I never liked the tomato one because I've never met a single person that says tomato. You do not. You do say tomato? Ah. All right, we've got a kid in here from Great Britain who can say things in the Great British way, and kids love hearing it. Okay, we're going to move on now. Yes, that's okay. All right, so back to, you're supposed to know what minimums and maximums are. It's really easy. What do you think that is, a minimum or a maximum? Maximum. And if it goes like this, it's a minimum. All right, so those low spots, the vertex, is either a minimum or maximum. That's easy. How about when these touch, they make the x-intercepts, also known as three other things. Roots and zeros and solutions. Yeah, all of those. All right, good. Moving on. If I asked you to, this is a typical test question. Okay, how would you, I bet you most of you could get this one right. And probably 3/4 of you could get B right. But try A first. Write it on your paper. I'm going to ask you, I'm sorry, on your iPad. I'm going to ask you to billboard it to me in a minute. Turn it around and show me what you think. Notice there are two parts. You write the equation in factored form, as in y equals something like that. And then the other part is to actually multiply it out. So you get general form. Just because it's hard to read it if you have too much on your screen, would you just do the factored form for me and then turn it around as soon as you've got it? And I will point and say either yes or no. What is the scale factor? That's that number that goes in the very front of the thing. But this is a scale factor of 1, which just means it's kind of irrelevant. Excellent. Too small, can't read it. Either that or your brightness is too dim. Good. Just do one, only the 1 right now. Yes, good. You've got them backwards. The pluses and the minuses. Good. Good. And you're doing the second part. Don't do the second part yet. Good. Good. Get them backwards, the plus and the minus. Because if it's a -3, then you want a +3. You know what I'm saying? Because what you want is something that will make the parentheses 0. No. Look at hers. No. You're confused. Wait, turn it around. Maybe you had it right and it was. You just have it backwards from everybody. Typical Brit. Good. No. Your signs on that top one are backwards, because the yes, 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 because the roots have to go in as opposite of what you'd think because they're in parentheses. Good, 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 good. Yep. All right. Now pretty much everybody's getting it right. So I think you guys have caught on here. Your sign is gone from the front of the 7. I can't tell what you want there. Should be a minus. You're right. So it's x plus 3x minus 7. And a lot of you would know how to do the next part. Just FOIL it out. X squared. Outside and the inside make -4x. Last make -21. All right. Common mistakes on the test are forgetting to say y equals. You lose half a point. Because there's got to be an equation. Okay. To be an equation, you have to have a y equals. Otherwise, if it doesn't have this part, it's just called an expression, not an equation. Yep. This is stuff on the ACT too. Yep. This is part of the coordinate geometry part. And on the ACT test, like about almost 40% of the ACT is on geometry stuff. It's a lot. But this is an example of geometry because it's coordinate geometry. Yes? Yep. To know what, like, what the question was is basically, what classes do you need to have taken to do well on the ACT? And you need to get through this class that you're in right now, and then you're pretty much ready to take the ACT test, but you won't take it till you're a junior. But there's one other thing that'll help you a lot, and that's some trig, because there are 4 or 5 trig questions on the ACT test. And yep, and so trig is the next class after this. So there's only 4 or 5 things you won't know by the end of this year before you, yep, that's in, trig is in pre-calc. So basically, yeah, to be safe, you should say you should be done with pre-calc before you take the ACT test. But the only thing in pre-calc that you really need is the trig. All right. You've done real basic trig, but they get into heavier duty trig. Yeah. Sine and cosine and stuff, that's on there, but the harder stuff is what I'm talking about, like doing trig identities and circle trig, that kind of stuff. All right. If you throw in a scale factor, it's pretty easy. You just have to throw in a 3 in front. See, it's stretched. Or smaller, yes. And then the x-intercepts of 2 and 5 would mean x minus 2 and x minus 5, because this number needs to go in and make the thing equal 0. So you always use the opposite of that number. It also happens to work well because they're in parentheses, and we always do the opposite when things are in parentheses. All right, so do you get how this answer would have come up? All right, and if you were going to multiply this out, I just have advice. It can actually work either way, but this is smarter. Foil it first, and then take everything and times it by 3. Do it that way, that's faster. It will work to do the 3 times this and the 3 times that, but then you have this complicated thing that you have to FOIL out. And it's a lot easier if you just do the 3 last. And this is a multiply, so since this times this times this, you can do it in any order you want when it's multiply. It's called the commutative property. All right, now here's where we get to the serious, what you need to learn today stuff. Okay, take a look at this graph. Do you know that these are important spots right here? If you haven't caught on to that, those are important. Those are the x-intercepts, they're the roots, they're the solutions, they're the zeros. And so if it's 1 and 5, you should be able to then, for factored form, just write the equation. Write out y equals, and you put an x, and what should I put? Minus 1 and minus 5. You get that? Okay, to get general form, all I got to do is multiply it out. Generally, to get general form, you just multiply it out. Okay, so all I got to do is FOIL that out and I'd be done. Vertex form, on the other hand, you need to know the vertex. The vertex is right here. It's at 3, negative 4. Would you please write me vertex form, see if you've remembered it or if you've forgotten it? Write me the vertex form for that one. I'll ask you to show it to me in just a second. On your... Okay. You already done? Or you already forgot how to do it? Okay. I'll give you one that's in vertex form but not right. Here's one that's in vertex form. X plus 7 squared plus mole. Well, it could be anything there. All right. I do, but I can't see yours. It's too dim. Is it something true of all the Brits, or? Sorry. Nice. Yes. Oh, wait. One of you two is wrong. Ah, I know. It's your first number. Counterintuitive on that first number. Is everybody? Yes. 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 No. Yes. 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 I didn't see the back corner. Get in the back corner. Got it yet? Yes. 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 Okay. I think you're getting the idea here. Yes. No, wait. No. The second number needs to be what it is. So y equals parentheses x, and this number I don't trust. Why? Because it's going on the inside. I use the opposite of it. And the other number I do trust because it's going on the outside. And you need a squared there. A lot of people may have forgotten the squared. All right. So Vertex form, factored form. What other form is there? General. You just multiply it out to get general form. Now, the hard one to get is vertex form if you don't have the picture. If you have the picture, it's easy. But if I just say, here's an equation, y equals 6x squared plus 2x plus 7, and I say, what's the vertex? Well, that's not in vertex form. It's really hard to get the vertex unless you actually go through the process of graphing the whole thing. All right, so we're going to talk about that kind of a problem. All right, so this problem here, I don't have vertex form and I don't have the picture. So to write it in general form, you just generally multiply it out. X squared, outside, inside, plus 8x plus 12. Did you get that? I just multiplied it out. Okay, the next part, find the x-intercepts. Finish this statement for me. The x-intercepts are where, what? Y equals 0. So I stick in y equals 0, and I go like this. 0 equals x plus 2, x minus 6. This is called the ZPP. What? Oh, sorry. There we go. Okay, this is called the zero product property. It's a product of two things making 0. All right, so then I can get my answers really easy. X equals negative 2, and x equals negative 6. Do you get how those two answers came up? And what does that mean? That means that negative 2 and negative 6 are my two x-intercepts. Do you get that the parabola generally goes like that? So do you see that it's going to be not super easy to know what the vertex is? I kind of can know it generally where it is. It's somewhere in here, somewhere in this area. But I just kind of slapped one up there. I don't know exactly where it is. That's going to be the hard part for today. So let me show you what you can do logically to figure it out. Do you get that there would be a line that would run right down the middle of this? Do you get that it would be exactly between these two dots here? Okay, so if they were at negative 2 and negative 6, what's exactly between them? Negative 4. So that little dotted line is at x equals negative 4. All right, so where should this thing be? How low should it go? You can actually piece it together by logic and say, well, it has to go over 1 and up 1, and then over 2 and up 4. You can do it that way, but there's a really easy way to do it. If you know x is negative 4, can I just put it in here? Yeah. And so then this part becomes negative 2, and this part becomes positive 2. What's negative 2 times positive 2? Negative 4. So that is how far down it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. I had it actually in the exact right spot by pure luck. All right, so it was at negative 4 comma. I didn't know what. I stuck it in. I figured it out. It was negative 4. All right, so the axis of symmetry is this line that goes right down the middle, and that's at x equals negative 4. And then the last thing is the y-intercept. Fill in this sentence for me. The y-intercept is where x equals 0. Okay, good. So then I can go back. I'm going to clean this all off and say the y-intercept is where x is 0. I can stick in a 0 here and here, and I'll get 2 times 6, which would be 12. There's the y-intercept. Okay? And if you want the y-intercept as a point, like something kind of something, remember the y-intercept is where x is 0. So it's 0, comma, no, x is 0, 0, comma, 12. It's easy to get those confused, though, isn't it? 12, 0, or 0, 12. The y-intercept is where x is 0. All right, so now let's actually have you try this one with me. I'm going to call on different people to see if they can answer this. In general form, that's just multiplying it out. I don't want to waste my time doing that. I want to work on the harder part. The x-intercepts are where what? Y equals 0, so I put a 0 here. Now what do I do to find my answers? Do you know them right away? I know them right away. 5 and 2. Okay? It's all right. It's all right. And you were thinking maybe that this one in front would count it as like a 0. If that was an x, it would have, but it isn't. So I got two answers, 2 and 5. So I'm going to put my dots out here, 2 and 5. So where is the dotted line that runs down the middle? That axis of symmetry. It runs right down the middle of these guys, which would be exactly between 2 and 5. What's exactly between 2 and 5? 3.5. So it's at x equals 3.5. A line that goes up and down like this is an x equals line. It's so easy to confuse that with the y equals thing, but it's always x equals. And then if you want the y-intercept, x equals 0. So I just stick in 0 in here. And then you got to times it all by -2. Would you please figure out what that is? Don't say it. Figure it out in your own head. Some of you are in the wrong spot. Get back to me now, and I won't punish you. Okay. Figure that out in your head. We're figuring out the y-intercept because I stuck in 0 for x. Y-intercept is where x is 0. And it's 0, comma what? -2, and then it's a 5 and a 2 times 10, and that makes -20. Good. The y-intercept is where? What? X equals 0. The other one we found was the x-intercept. The x-intercept is where y is 0. That's where I'd put a 0 here. That's different. Okay. Right now we're doing the y-intercept, which is where x is 0, so I put a 0 here and a 0 there. And then I get -2 times -5 makes 10, and 10 times -2 makes -20. All right, so there's my y-intercept. It's right there. And then here's the hardest question of them all, and only the smartest of you will figure it out. What's the vertex? Don't say it. Write it on your paper and billboard it to me. I'm going to just call it paper because it's virtual paper. What's the vertex? It's something, comma, something. I know a lot of you are going to make a really easy mistake. Let's see if any of you catch it. All right, so the third problem I've got started up here. I had it paused for a second, so I need to review this for them. You guys can ignore me. The second problem, I have this, the third problem on the worksheet. The x-intercepts were at 1 and 2, and so we have the dotted line running down the middle. That's called the axis of symmetry is right here. X equals 1.5. And then after that, I can take that 1.5, and I know that's the x of my vertex. Then to figure out this part, the unknown part, you're going to take this 1.5 and stick it back in the equation. The equation was like this, x minus 1 and x minus 2. And you'd stick the 1.5 in here and here.